there's a very interesting tie-in. And as I said, Debbie covers a hell of a lot of ground when we talk about the ineptitude and the downright depravity that comes with being a congressional representative. Colin, if you will, would you please cue up a tweet from none other than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
I can only imagine.
Put out a very
I can only imagine.
I think is actually very poignant in this particular moment. So Alex actually puts out a message saying any member of Congress who purchased stocks in the last 48 hours should probably disclose that now. I've been hearing some interesting chatter on the floor. Disclosure deadline is May 15th. We're about to learn a few things. It's time to ban insider trading in Congress. This is in response to whatever you would consider Trump's methodology when it comes to the tariff catastrophe, because on the one hand, he's saying, we're going to have these tariffs. Now it's on a 90-day hold, but except for China, China now has to pay for it. And the understanding is NASDAQ call volume spiked minutes before the 90-day tariff pause was announced. Not a good look at all. Why? Because that's what you call a pump and dump scheme when it comes to stock trading. I do not do stock trading. I actually refuse to do it. I think it's a complete scam. I've always felt that way because you're never in control of it. I only invest in hard assets, things that you can actually touch, feel, gold, real estate, etc. But stocks, it's just made up shit. Guys can decide. Ben Bernanke, head of the Fed, once said, "Now we just put numbers in on the computer screen and we make up numbers." When you start hearing things like that, how can you ever trust this system? And who amongst anyone on Capitol Hill is as guilty as Debbie Wasserman Schultz when it comes to insider trading? It's a commodity for her. She was the top Democratic Party trader in 2 of the last 3 congressional terms. Like, you can't make this shit up anymore. And at what point do we start saying we're going to cut the fat?
And the tools down here, like her people, they love her. They love her. And here's the best part. Like when I went to the thing in Hollywood, the hands off that was in Hollywood, there were so many people that were total Debbie people with their hands off of our Social Security sign and hands off of this. And we hate Trump and, get rid of Musk and all this stuff. And they totally support Debbie. And it's so, it's very rich to me. There's a very rich irony there.
We've had very strong opinions about Alex and how she's conducted herself. There's a lot of things that I don't like, but you know what? You give credit where credit is due.
Well, except for this to me isn't something that's really worthy of credit. It should just be the law and common sense. That's like coming up and saying, you know what? People shouldn't steal. And would we give her credit for saying that too? I don't think so. Well, I actually don't give her credit for shit. I think that she's a coward. And I think that she pipes in whenever it is only safe and politically fruitful for her to do so. That's a coward. So no, I don't give her props. I don't give a shit that she calls out insider trading, because the only reason she doesn't do it is because she wasn't doing it before. Otherwise, she wouldn't want to be stopped doing it now. So she didn't start, but she doesn't have a portfolio. So, and it's only a matter of her having a stern talking to by someone before she'll fall in line anyway.
Well, it's entirely fair to surmise that because Alex has the means of making money outside of politics, that it isn't so much of a pressure for her to have to potentially make additional money, if that's even a reasonable excuse, which it's not. But nevertheless, she doesn't do insider trading. So there is some validity to her saying we need to ban stock trading. But I would say to Alex, that's all well and good. But until you actually start calling out your own people by name, no one's going to care. You need to call out Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You need to call out Nancy Pelosi.
That's because for her, it's just theater. She's just performing. And that's why I don't like to even cover it. That's why, because I don't care. I think it's silly. I think that is every bit as performative as Cory Big Pharma Booker standing there, going on for 25 hours. All of these things are completely performative right now. All of it. The Democrats are scrambling. They have nowhere to go.
And speaking of Cory Booker, apparently some people got into a big town hall that he was hosting the other day, and they called him out about Israel, and they got thrown out of his town hall.
Of course they did.
So, of course, he just proves once again that he's just a colossal hypocrite like the rest of them, and he is a particularly big hypocrite. He gets by because people like him, because he's a nice guy.
But, and that's the same thing like with probably why people promote certain people. I am so over that now. I don't care if people are nice. I don't care.
No.
I don't care if Alex does the bare minimum from time to time. It's irrelevant.
In a way, that's what makes it worse, because everyone knows that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the C word. So they don't have to question whether they would ever find anything endearing about her. Yes, she does have her sycophants, the classic boomer, wealthy white liberal that lives in South Florida. Yes, that is her demographic.
They want her hands off. They want their hands off of Social Security, but they don't mind her hands stealing the money from the top. Like, it's.
Guys, I was in a what I wouldn't even call it a town hall. I was in one of those Dem sycophant meetings with Wasserman Schultz. I want to say like probably 6-7 years ago, something like that. And she shows up. Of course, she shows up late, and of course, she leaves early because that's how she rolls. And so she comes in and she starts making her little speech to the yentas and, you know, the loyal party sycophants that are there, talking about, you know, we're working on this bill right now that's going to include seniors have eyes. So we're going to add a little clause to the healthcare system where if you're over the age of 65, we're going to give you a price reduction on your ability to get your eyes checked. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, and there's people
she's going to throw in some optometry to the seniors. How nice of her.
And yet there are people that eat this up. But I will tell you guys, and I know this, Debbie, if there was no consequences to it, she would have dealt with Medea a long time ago. If she was still the head of the DNC, I would have been looking over both shoulders every day if I was Medea.
Nah, Medea's pissed off some really higher up people than Debbie Wasserman Schultz, to be honest with you.
Well, now, yes, I would definitely.
Okay. Agree. She's pissed off people globally. So she's pissed off people across the globe, way more powerful than Debbie.
When we are asking ourselves exactly why is it that we see all the things that happen today when it sort of evolves into this whole, how did we get here with Trump? Why is Trump so brazen about this? The reason he is able to say the things that he says, and I'm going to play this clip in a second, you guys will understand, is because they have neglected all of this criminal behavior forever. It's only because he's so bombastic about it and he doesn't hide it that everyone is like, oh my God, can you believe he said it? No, they are all doing it. He just doesn't care. Well, they're all guilty, so I could do it too. So this is Trump. And this is a follow-up from what Alex was talking about, how we need to end insider trading. Why? Because it's in everybody's faces now and no one has any faith in the system anymore. That's why Trump can say things like this.
This is Charles Schwab. It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million.
That's really good. You did a really great job. These incredible people, you know why they made that money? Because I allowed them to make it. It was really great job. And everyone who throws their arms up in the air and says, Trump this, Trump that, remember, it's like anything. It doesn't just come from nowhere. Trump is not an anomaly to the system. Trump is the system at its final destination, I guess you'd say, Jen.
Oh, it's just, for me, I have to laugh. This is just, I'm enjoying it, actually. I'm enjoying it.